Apologies.
Good that
The rabbi slept.
Worth waiting for.
Welcome, Alex. Nice to see you.
Thank you, Alex.
So may these, they are learning. They are learning B'Yaschus Li Nishmas Meira Chaya Nachama Bracha Bas David Mordechai,
And
daughter of David, our dear friend.
and also my Sophie's mother, please. Tala Aryeh Bat Cheshmat.
Ala Aryeh Bas Chashmat, for sure. Okay, so today's daf is daf Yud. We had gotten to the top of daf Yud yesterday, where the Gemara had proven Shmamina Chamira Sakanta Yisura Shmamina, that we have proof that matters of danger are treated more severely than questions of ritual issues. So Tana Rabban did a mission over there talking about dangers. Gimel Mashkin Asur Mishum Gilui. There are 3 liquids that if they were left uncovered, it's dangerous to drink them because maybe there is snake venom inside of them. Mayin, yayin, v'chalav, water, wine, and milk. Kama issue, how long, if they sit unattended and unwatched, how long then are you worried that maybe a snake got into them? You assume, and then they become prohibited. The answer is kadesh yetzi arachash mimakom karov, enough time for a snake to get out from a near place, v'yishta, and drink. Kama makom karov, what's a near place? Amr of Yitzchak Breder of Yehuda, kadesh yetzi mitachas ozen kli, enough time for him to get under, for him to come out from under the handle of a utensil, the yishtet, to drink from the wine, milk, or water, and that, at that point you have to worry maybe he did that and it's no good. It's like yishtet, all you need to do is wait for enough time for him to drink, but then you would see it, right? No, because Ella, the amount of time for him to get out, drink, yishtet v'yatzel l'choron, enough time for him to come back into his hole. Then you may not see it, because if there was that period of time that you weren't watching for him to get out, get into the liquid, drink, and go back into his hole, so maybe that's what happened. He got out of his place, went into the liquid, drank, left some poison, and went back into his hole. So now it's dangerous. Now you can't drink from it.
What is the time limit, Rabbi?
Not a lot of time.
Oh.
A couple of minutes. You don't watch something. Okay, now going back to the laws of Shechita. Itmar was taught by Amoraim Ashochet Besakin. Let's say somebody shechts with a knife that apparently had been checked, and it was a smooth knife. And now, after the Shechita, Nimtzis Puma, somebody looks at the knife that had been used for the Shechita and says, oh my gosh, there's a nick in it. Rav Huna said, even if after the Shechita he was using the knife to chop up bones, and bones clearly can nick a knife, we don't say, oh, this nick came from after the Shechita, from the chopping up of the bones, but rather, Chashina, we're worried, Shema Ba'or Nivgama. Maybe right when he began the Shechita on the skin nicked the knife. And therefore, maybe the Shechita was done no good, and therefore the animal is not kosher. Rav Chizda said, no, the animal is ksheira in this case. Shema Ba'etzem Nivgama. Because we decide that what made the nick was the fact that it was chopping up bones, and the bones made the nick. And if it did the Shechita, it was a kosher Shechita. So Gemara now explains. Bishmar Rav Huna, who said that we assume that the Shechita is no good. That's Kishmaita. That's like what he taught us yesterday. He taught us yesterday that an animal before Shechita is in a chazaka that it's not kosher. So we assume that chazaka lasts until we know for sure that there was a kosher Shechita. Here we don't know for sure there was a kosher Shechita, so it stays no good. El Rav Chizda, but Rav Chizda, why does he say that the Shechita is okay? My time, what's his reasoning? Amlachas, the Gemara explains. Rav Chizda's reasoning like this. Here there was a Shechita, and then there was chopping of bones, and then you find that the knife is nicked. So he'll tell you like this. At some vadai pogin. Bones, when you put a knife against the bone, certainly that's something which is going to nick a knife. But the idea that it's no good with that is that the initial, right when you began the Shechita on the skin nicked it. That's unlikely. Safek pogim, safek lo pogim. That skin should ruin a knife. Maybe it would, maybe it won't. Normally it wouldn't. So safek uvadis. What do you have here? You have a question of something which maybe could cause damage versus something which certainly could cause damage. So now we make the assumption, we decided what really happened here, based on probability, is that the bones caused this problem, because that's what's normal. Bones can cause problems in a knife. So therefore we know that the bones made the problem in the knife. The bones happened after the shechita. That means that the shechita was good, and it only got ruined afterwards, but the animal is still kosher.
Rabbi, they have two different knives, one for shech, one for bones.
That's correct. That's correct, but he didn't use it. He used the same knife.
So he definitely is not kosher la Pesach. If it is because he's a schmuck chef.
Right? He made a mistake. He made a mistake.
Good thing Ellie
So he did not. He checked the knife before. He didn't check the knife afterwards. That's the problem. Had he checked the knife right afterwards, then we would have known it was a good shechita. But he didn't check the knife afterwards. He did the shechita, and then he starts chopping bones, and then he checks the knife after he chopped the bones. So now, Masiv Rava asked the question from a Mishnah, this Yuri Rav Huna, to bring a proof to Rav Huna that in such a case the animal would be not kosher. What's the case? Not in regards to shechita, in regards to immersion in a mikvah. We know that when you go into a mikvah, all the water has to cover your body. It can't be that any part of your body has a band-aid on it, or a piece of paint, or some other chatzitza, some other barrier, some barrier between the water and the skin. So what happens if Taval, he went into the mikvah, he comes out of the mikvah, and never himself davar chotzitz. Now, as he's getting dressed, he finds that he has some chatzitz on him, he has some dirt. Now, even if after he came out of the mikvah, he was busy with that thing the whole day, we still say that maybe that thing was on him before, and therefore it wasn't a good tefillah. Unless he can say, I'm sure that it wasn't on me before I went into the mikvah. Now in this case, we know we went into the mikvah. Safek havole, safek lo havole. There's a safek whether it was on him before he went into the mikvah, whether it wasn't on him before he went into the mikvah. Because he's safek, and we see that this fact that there's a safek of maybe it was on him, that's enough to say that the tefillah was no good, even though he was busy with this stuff later. And we don't say, oh, the stuff came on him later. We say maybe it was on him before. Shiny awesome, there it's different. In the mikvah it's different. Because in the mikvah we have a chazaka. Hamid Tameh al Cheskasa. Before he went into the mikvah, what was he? He was Tameh. So let's assume that that status continues as long as possible, unless we have proof that that status changed. That's called Chazaka. We know that there's a certain reality. We assume that that reality continues until we are sure that the reality is no longer continuing. So we know he was Tameh. We assume he still is Tameh, unless we know he's not. Therefore, we assume that it wasn't a good Tvila. We don't know for sure it was a good Tvila. So we just stay with the Chazaka that he was Tameh. That's what we say, that maybe there was a Chatzitza. So 1 second, but if you're saying Chazaka, Rav Huna would also say Chazaka. Hachanami here too. An animal before it's slaughtered, what is it? Not kosher. So keep it on its Chazaka being not kosher, and let's assume that the knife was no good. So the says no. But here we know that reality's changed. What is the reality of it not being kosher? Is that it wasn't slaughtered, but now it is slaughtered. But here too, Hachanami. The reality of him being tamei is that he didn't go to the mikvah. But here we know he did go to the mikvah. But maybe the mikvah was no good because there's a chatzitz on him now. Yeah, but here also maybe the tvila, the shechita is no good because right now the knife is nicked. The Gemara said there's a difference. A man who comes out of a mikvah and on him there's a chatzitza, so there's a problem in him. On him there's a chatzitza, so maybe the tvila was no good. An animal that was slaughtered and an hour later after chopping up bones, the knife is nicked. The problem's not in the animal. The problem's in the knife. So there's a difference. Sakin Israel, yes. On the knife, there's reason to think it was no good because it has a nick right now. Maybe it had a nick earlier. But behema lo Israel. But there is no problem in the animal. There's no reason in the animal for us to say or to assume that there is a problem. Okay, so Meisri, I'll challenge you from a different source. We learned about chickens. When it comes to chickens, so you don't need to slaughter both pipes. You can get away with slaughtering only one pipe. So we learned. Shachat es haveshet. Let's say he slaughtered the veshet is the trachea, the windpipe. Good morning, good morning. And then the other pipe, the food pipe, moved out of location. So Ksheira, it's kosher, because who cares? Once the windpipe was slaughtered, it's kosher. Who cares what happens now to the food pipe? However, Nishmatan Gargeres, let's say before you chef the windpipe, the food pipe moves out of its spot. And then you slaughters the trachea of the windpipe. Now psula. Now the shechita is no good, because it is a treifa. It's an animal that has already one of the wounds that would make it die within 12 months, so it's no good. What about if shachar savesha? He slaughters the trachea, he slaughters the windpipe. The nimtzis are gargera shmuta. Then when he starts looking at the chicken, he finds that the food pipe is also out of place. Now the question is, when did it get out of place? Did it get out of place after the windpipe was slaughtered? That would be kosher. Or did it get out of place before the windpipe was slaughtered, and then the animal's no kosher? So, he doesn't know. If the food pipe moved out of place before the slaughtering, or if it moved out of place after the slaughtering, and therefore it's kosher. This actually came up. When the sages said, when you don't know if the shechita was good or not, pasul. The shechita is no good. So why did they say kol safik b'shechita lasuye mai? What's that to include? Kol safik b'shechita, and presumably what's it to include? Lasuye kai gav, to include this case too. The Gemara says no, it's not to include this case of where you shefted and then you find the nicks on the knife. Lasuye, it's to include safik shah, safik ducks. When the shochet may have paused in the middle of the shechita, or the shochet may have pressed down in the middle of the shechita. So why is that a case where when there's safik you say it's no good, and why here when there's a safik are you saying that we should assume that it is good? So again, the same answer. When there's a safik, whether there was a pause in the shechita, or there's a safik whether the knife actually was pressed down instead of going sliding just across, we have reason to say that there's a problem in the animal. Maybe this animal was no good. Maybe the shechita in the animal was no good. And when the pipe gets dislodged, we don't know when it was dislodged. That's a problem in the animal itself. But over here, in the case of Rav Huna, it's the knife that's nicked. Okay, Saki Yisrael, you have a problem because of the knife, but not in the animal itself. And then we assume that the animal was shechted correctly, and the nick of the knife may have only been from the bones, but not from the skin. Yeah, question.
Why when it comes to chicken, they're liberals, and only the windpipe they have to cut, Rabbi?
Or it could be just the food pipe. It's the halacha, either one.
So it's just either
just one. Either one of the two, yeah.
Is it standard procedure to check the knife before shechita?
Yes.
And after, or not?
Correct.
And after, before and after each time?
That's right. Okay. But here, he just checked before, he didn't check after.
Okay.
So now what's the halacha about this question? He didn't check after, and the knife was used for all sorts of things that would nick it, and in fact now there is a nick on the knife. Hilchasa kavased Rav Huna, the halacha is like Rav Huna, that in such a case, no, it's no good.
It's not kosher.
It's no good. Rav Huna is the one who said it was kosher. Rav Huna says it's not kosher. Kisha lo shiber ba'etzem. When there wasn't any breaking of bones. There was no breaking of bones. The knife was slaughtered, you used it for slaughter, then you checked an hour later with this knife that was sitting on the table. You see that the knife has a nick. So we assume that it got nicked on the skin, and it's no good. But Hilchsa Kavasa Rav Chizda, halacha is like Rav Chizda, that the animal is kosher. Kisha shiber ba'etzem. When after the slaughtering there was breaking of bones, because since breaking bones normally cause problems in a knife, so again we say, since a knife to get a problem in it based on skin is unlikely, a knife to have a problem in it based on cutting bones is likely. So in Suffolk Mosmi Devadai, we don't say that the unlikely is what happened, we said the more likely is what happened. We say that it was the bones that messed up the knife, and therefore that means that the shechita was good, because he checked the knife before he slaughtered the animal, only later the knife got messed up, and therefore the animal is kosher. So 1 second, the Gemara says, Michal, does that imply to Rav Chizda? Rav Chizda is going to tell you, that even if he wasn't breaking bones with the knife, nevertheless, if the knife is nicked later, the knife is going to be kosher, so what would make the knife a problem? The Gemara says, I'll tell you. He'll tell you, why are you assuming that the knife got a nick from the skin at the beginning, and then it was nicked. When it did the shchita, maybe the knife slid across both pipes, and as it was coming out of the dead animal, it hit against one of the bones there, and the bone in the animal's neck is what nicked it. So that's the assumption. The assumption is that even though you don't know of it hitting bones, you just know of it doing shchita. Who's to say that the beginning of the shchita, the skin, is what made it have a problem? Maybe at the end of the shchita, the bone at the end of the neck was what hit it after it had already been killed, after it correctly killed the animal, and therefore it is in fact a kosher shchita, and that's what Rav Chisda is willing to rely on, and that's where we say that we don't accept Rav Chisda, and that we pass on like Rav Huna. But in the case of the bones, there we do pass like Rav Chisda. We say that the bones made the problem, and therefore it was a kosher shchita. Yeah, question, David.
So it comes out according to Rav Chisda, you never would actually have to check the knife afterwards.
Correct? That's right.
And
But we say you do because we could cause it whole like
the windpipe is soft, there's no bone in the windpipe.
And the shochet is the honest man to tell,
That's the most important part of a shochet. The most important part is that he be an honest man. And he has to have a lot of yirat shamayim, be very careful about religion, care about religion a lot. However, there was a story once. A man slaughtered a lot of animals, and then he checked the knife, and the knife was nicked. Torah for Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef said, okay, the animal that was slaughtered is now a treifa. It was a situation where 13 animals had been slaughtered without the knife being checked. So he made treifa 13 animals. Keman, who is this like? Rav Huna. He says that we're worried that even when you don't have a reason to think the knife got nicked by something, there was no bone crushing, nevertheless, knives can get nicked even on skin. So the Gemara says, did he even make the very first animal that was slaughtered with this knife treif? The Gemara says, lo. The very first animal, not Rav Chisda. There he didn't make a treif because he held like Rav Chisda that we assume that the knife didn't get nicked. But all the other animals besides the first, that he made treif, because even according to Rav Chisda, when you have a nicked knife, it could be that it gets nicked from the end of a shchita. Maybe it's not going to be nicked necessarily from the beginning of a shchita, but it could be nicked from the end of the shchita. So at the end of the first shchita, this knife got nicked, and therefore all the other shchitas, the other 12, were no good.
That's not being strict, right?
It is strict, but that's a reasonable argument in the light of what we've said. You can tell me, Lola, Rav Huna. Maybe Rav Yosef really holds like Rav Huna, and therefore he's worried that a knife can get nicked even on skin. Because if he holds like Rav Chisda, the knife doesn't get nicked on skin. It would only get nicked maybe on the bone at the end. So mechti mitla talina, and so we're making an assumption it got nicked on a bone. So we might have asked him to mafrekas to kamaisifkim, who says that it got nicked on the bone of the last. I'm sorry, got nicked on the bone of the first one that was slaughtered. Maybe it was good for all 13, and at the end of the last one of the 13th, that's when it got nicked. So if you're using the logic of Rav Chisda, that you're willing to make an assumption that maybe it got nicked really very late, he should have kashered all 13. So the fact that we know that Rav Yosef was making treif must mean that he's not agreeing with Rav Chisda, rather he's agreeing with Rav Huna that when you have a problem in a knife, then you assume that the knife got a problem really early, got a knife even on leather, even on skin. Rav Acha, the son of Rava, said to Rav Ashi, Rav Kahana matzuk b'dikusa ben kol chada v'chada. Rav Kahana would require that if a man was slaughtering multiple animals, he has to check the knife between each animal. Keman, who is this like? This is Rav Huna. This is like the issue of Rav Huna, that he's worried that even skin can ruin a knife. Ulamifsal kamaisa. As if he's going to find that the knife is a problem, then he's going to say that as what's treif, all of the things that were shechted, even the very first of the series of animals. Therefore, you have to check after each shchita, you have to check the knife before you do another shchita. The Gemara says not necessarily low. You have to say that way. It could be Rav Chisda. It could be that he's following the view of Rav Chisda, who doesn't think that skin is going to ruin a knife. However, Lachshuri Basraisa, but he's still saying you need to check the knife after each time you slaughter, before you slaughter the next time. Because if you don't, If you don't check the knives, then at the very end, if you find a nicked knife, the last one is going to be treif, because maybe you're going to assume that it got possible before the last one. But the last bunch are going to be treif, because you assume it became possible on the end of the first shechita, and therefore you have to keep checking. The Gemara says, if the issue is that you want to be checking because of the shechitas after the first one, so why is it enough to have the shochet do the checking? We should have the rabbi of the city come to check the knife and make sure that it doesn't have a nick. And the fact that Rav Kahana is not requiring that the rabbi of the city come to check, that's a proof that maybe we're not worried about the later ones. It's just the view of Rav Huna. So we're worried about even the first. I said, no, you don't need to have the rabbi check, because a regular person, a single witness, is believed when you talk about kashrus. If that's the case, so then why do we ever need a rabbi to check a knife? You can always have the shochet check the knives. Why should we begin the day with the rabbi checking the knife? Answer the Gemara, you're right. We really don't need the rabbi to check. Rabbi Yochanan said, really, you don't need the rabbi to check the knife before you do shechita. Really, the shochet can check the knife, and we would rely on him because a single person is believed in regards to kashrus, in regards to prohibitions. But why did they say that a rabbi should check the knife before we begin the shechita? Just to give respect to the rabbi. The Torah scholar should be given respect. He checked, and now we're using the knives. And therefore, we don't need, if he's after the first shechita, we can now let the shochet check it going forward. Says the Gemara, we already gave the rabbi the respect. Says the Gemara, what's the source for this matter that was underlying so much of this discussion, that you leave a matter on its chazak, on its presumed earlier state? It's based on a Kohen who makes a house impure with tzaras. The Kohen comes to look at the house. If he sees that there's enough tzaras on the walls, the pasuk says, the Kohen's going to come out of the house to the entrance of the house and cause the house to be locked for 7 days. Now how? Maybe by the time he walks out, the amount of tzaras on the walls went down to lower than the amount that would make it tameh. So how could he make it tameh? It must be that we say, since when he saw it has the right amount, we assume that what he saw continues. We say you leave it on its chazaka. That's not a proof. The Dilma maybe over there to go He walked out of the house backwards. And as he's walking out, he sees how much tzaras is there. Abaye said back to this note. There are two questions on this. Number one, walking out backwards is not called walking out. The Torah says he walks out and then he makes a tummy. But furthermore, what are you going to say if the tzaras is behind the door? If the tzaras is behind the door and he's walking out backwards, he's not going to be seeing it as he walks out. If you're going to tell me the patach beikav, so that he's going to make windows in the door so that he can see what's behind the door as he's walking out. But now we learned in the Mishnah that if the tzaras is by itself in a room that's very dark because it doesn't have windows and the Kohen can't see it, the Kohen does not open windows to see it. That's not going to make it tameh. Suddenly Rava said back to reject Abaye's 2 points. To come after this that you said, Yitzia derech hachor v'loshma Yitzia, walking out backwards is not called Yitzia. It's not true. Kohen Gadol Yom Kippur Yochiach. Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur should be the proof. The Ksiba Yitzia talks about him walking out of the Holy of Holies, and he walks out backwards. It's nan yatsa uvalo derech nisaso. The Kohen Gadol would walk out the way his body is walking in. In other words, he walks out backwards. The comment you said, it can't be that he makes windows in the door, because we know that if you have a dark house with tzaras in it, so then it doesn't become tummy. It only becomes tummy if the Kohen can see it normally. But if the Kohen has to make windows to be able to see the tzaras, it doesn't become tummy. That's true if he never saw it originally. So to see it for the first time and to make it tummy, it can't be that he makes windows to be able to see it. But here, there were windows in the house. He saw the tzaras behind the door. Now he's walking out, he wants to keep seeing it. So for that, he could keep seeing it. It's chazik, you could make windows. So therefore, this is not a proof to the idea of relying on chazaka. Rabbi Hananya ben Akash Omer Ratza Kadosh Baruch Hu lezakos Yisrael l'fi chashiv b'mitzvah mitzvah shenemar nefesh tzimad tzikoy agdil tzurav yadir.
Yisrael v'kadash merabah v'nachmad v'rata b'zeh v'nachmad v'zeh Und wir machen uns eine Vorbildung, bei Garauf und mein Karim,